Welcome to Rooted and Rising Healing. I'm your host, Hali Roderick, and this space is for women rebuilding after betrayal. Here we make sense of what happened, find truth again, and reconnect with who you really are beyond the pain. Whether you're staying, leaving, or still in the middle, your story matters. Together, we'll explore truth, clarity, and the quiet courage it takes to rise from the wreckage of what was into the wholeness of who you're becoming. You're safe to be here. In the messy middle, in the rebuilding, and in the rising. Let's begin. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode. This one is a really special episode with a shared conversation that I recorded with my friend and colleague, Amie Woolsey, for her Empowered Divorce podcast. We had such a great conversation about betrayal trauma and the nervous system and stored emotion in our body, and how breathwork can really support that healing when talk therapy alone isn't enough. And I knew that I wanted to share it with you here as well. So you'll notice in this episode that Amie is actually the one interviewing me, and I'm so grateful for the way that she holds these conversations with so much care and insight, and I'm really excited for you to listen in. I hope that you enjoy.
Hello, my amazing, beautiful listeners. How are you? Welcome. I am so excited for you to join me today in the conversation with my dear friend, Hali. Get a little teary, like choked up, like I just love you. I am so excited that you're here with me. I really do. I've never had Hali on this podcast. Hali and I work a lot together with Choose Recovery Services, the work that we do with our betrayed partners. We're getting ready to do an incredible women's retreat in Costa Rica that y'all can absolutely come to. I just love the relationship that has cultivated over the years. So my heart just was really warm when I introduced you. I'm so glad that you are here. Hali's got incredible talents and gifts, and one of them is leading breathwork and leading women back to their bodies and reconnecting back to their bodies through breathwork. And that's what I'm having her talk about today. It's such a passion that you have, and you're so good at it. So let's just start with maybe introducing yourself a little bit more, because I haven't had you on this podcast before. And then how did you even get into breath work?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. And the feelings are mutual. I have nothing but good to say about you and feel honored that we have been able to connect in these healing circles personally and professionally. And you're one of my tribe for sure. And one of my go-to people when I'm in trouble. So I'm excited to be here and be on this podcast with this audience. Like you said, I work with a lot of betrayed partners. And one of the favorite things that I get to do is I get to facilitate and co-facilitate many of the in-person intensives that we have at Choose. And that has become one of my passions because I love being in person with clients. Of course, I feel like I can connect well with my clients virtually, and we do. And there's just something magical that happens when we're in person and we get to be in each other's presence and feel each other's nervous systems and regulate together and find that safety and be part of, as the professional team, the opportunity to provide that environment for people that I didn't have early on in my recovery. And when I found it, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? So that's one of my favorite things that I do is the intensives. And of course, I'm so excited. Just every time I think about Costa Rica, I get excited. So that one, the next one.
Right? Yeah. Cannot wait for that one.
So you asked me how I even got started into breathwork. And I got started because this amazing yoga studio that I go to here locally had a breathwork experience. And I honestly didn't know what I was getting into. I had no idea. Well, I thought
it was probably good, right? That you didn't know before.
Oh, it was good. I thought I was going to like a meditation class or like a breathing class. And that's not at all what it was. But I remember walking out of there and I said, I don't know what that was, but when can I come back and do it again? It was so powerful. And then the facilitator, I started following her. I would drive an hour to do a breathwork session with her. And then I started exploring other people and experiencing different types of breath work, and finally decided that I needed to learn how to facilitate this myself because it had become such a huge piece of my own, what I would call somatic healing journey, which is such a big part and such an important part that we can talk and process about our trauma and learn the skills for boundaries and trigger regulation and all that stuff. But if we miss the physical impact that trauma leaves in our body, we are missing a big piece. And I think it's one of the things that sometimes can keep people stuck is not addressing the physical impact of our trauma. And breathwork really opened that up to a next level for me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to be honest. Well, you know this already, but I'll be honest with my audience. Like the very first time I did breath work, it was in the middle of the jungle in Mexico. It was so intense. Drums were, it was brilliantly done, but very, very intense for me. And similarly, I didn't know what to expect. It was really hard for me. I'm such a breath holder. That's part of the bracing and the armoring in survival mode, just all the things. So working my breath in that way that you do in a session, it threw me for a loop. It really put me in a place that was scary. Now, I'm so glad that I have people like you that are like, hey, no. Like, you need to lean back in and do this. But I guess I just want to ask you, why does that sometimes happen in breath work where it can feel really intense and really scary and really hard? I just kind of chalked it up to, well, I'm not used to breathing. Breath for me is already hard. But does that say something, I guess, about the body, about trauma, about where someone's at, if that's their experience?
Maybe. I also think that like I mentioned before, I have done different types of breath work, and different types of breath work can give you a different experience. Some of them can have almost a darker feel to it. I like everything full of light in my life. And so I try to avoid anything that's dark. I don't know if your breath work in Mexico had a dark tone to it or what, but I try to make sure that if I'm going to do breath work, that it is something that feels healing and full of light to me. But what I will say about why it can be such an impactful experience is our breath is powerful. Like if you think about our breath, it really is the only thing that we carry with us from the moment we come out of the womb until the minute we pass away. It is the one thing that's constant in our life, and it never leaves us. And yes, so many of us, especially when you've experienced trauma, we turn inward almost like a self-protect. And really learning how to access your breath as healing it requires you to open up a little bit. And so that in and of itself can feel a little uncomfortable if it's not what you're used to, if you're used to being in self-protect, which is why I think it's so important that you have a facilitator that is trauma informed, because a facilitator can help hold that space with you and provide the physical support if you need it when you are experiencing, really you're accessing your subconscious brain is what we're doing in breathwork. So
Okay.
I don't know, we might need to get into a little bit more of the logistics.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have you go there first. What you said right there, I feel like is so encompassing with the experience of trauma, the protective, closed in, going in, and what you said about breath expands, it opens. And when we don't have safety in our relationship, in our environment, we don't feel safe in our body, like just basic safety, that wouldn't feel helpful. That would feel scary, and maybe create some panic to open up. And how symbolic that is just in general with opening up to your partner, opening up to people, just being open. It's so scary when you go through something like this. It definitely feels safer to stay closed off and closed in. So that really just stood out to me when you describe just breath that way, how that is really how we show up in trauma.
Yeah. If you think about like the chemistry of what happens when it's called somatic breath work is the type that I have been trained in. And there's different breathing techniques with different types of breath work. The breathing technique that I use with somatic breath work is you're breathing in through your mouth and out through your mouth in like a circular rhythm over like intense breathing. First half. And what happens when you're doing that is the chemistry inside is going to shift. So you're taking in more oxygen, but you're releasing CO2. And when that happens, the blood vessels in your brain naturally constrict a little bit, and your brain starts to quiet down. And for a lot of people who've been in trauma, you don't even know what a quiet down brain feels like. And so that in and of itself can be like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also that chemistry shift in there can make you can have some physical responses, like you can feel tingly or floaty, or in some sense, like maybe you're not in control. And this isn't actually dangerous. Like if it's uncomfortable, you could actually just stop breathing and that would all go away. I'm not stop breathing, but stop the intention.
Yeah.
Like
Just
the patterned breath, you could just go back to a normal breath and that would go away.
Yeah.
Those physical responses of your body because of that change in chemistry can be a little uncomfortable if you're not expecting it and you don't.
I wasn't expecting that, and that's what kind of scared me. It felt a little like of that paralysis type feeling. My muscles all like froze and my fingers and hands just because of the way that the oxygen you just described there chemically is working. The other thing that was hard was that lack of control, feeling out of control, which is such a trauma response for me in a way of protecting and staying safe and all of that. But that's also what gave me that awareness to myself around, oh my gosh, I really don't like letting go of control. Oh my gosh, I really don't like all of those things help increase the awareness. And I feel like breath work is another way for us to increase the awareness into ourselves, what is coming up that we need to see and that we need to heal, and letting go and not having to be in such control was something that I needed to see as part of my healing. So those are a couple of things that stood out to me when I went into it without knowing anything.
That's why when I facilitate, I spend a good chunk of time at the beginning helping people, even though there's really no way to like fully prepare you for it, but really like telling you, okay, this might happen and you might feel the tingly, or your hands might get stiffened up, and it's okay. There's nothing happening. And if you need my support, I'll be right there. I'm right there with you. And so I spend a lot of time creating safety before we ever even go into the breath work and explaining what's going to happen, so they know what to expect and they're not surprised by it. I think the first time you experience it, I've heard it with so many clients, it's like, wow, that was not what I expected. And I was like, I know, I don't know how to prepare you for it any better.
Right. It really is it's such an individual experience because our breath is so individual too. I'm actually curious. I want to understand a little bit better what breath in of itself, like just our breath, breathing in and out, why it's so important and what it does every time you breathe in and every time you breathe out.
Yeah, I don't know if I know the full answer to that, other than if you think about how we connect to ourselves, it really is the way. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but I can get very still in my intentional self-care of being still. I can really like hyper focus on just a calm breath. And I can, in a sense, feel the energy, or I can get really in tune with my body by just focusing on my breath. And there's so much power in that. Like when we want to regulate, first thing I do is take a couple of deep breaths, right? So the first thing we do is connect to our breath, which is what helps us connect to our center. So if you're asking me like physiologically or scientifically, I probably don't have the right answer for that. Other than I can just speak to my own experiences that connecting to my breath is where I find my inner compass, my groundedness, the clarity. I think the clarity comes from connecting to my breath, and it helps me tune out the noise around me, whether that be other people's voices or chatter of the world. And that's the one thing I love about what breathwork, doing as like a facilitated breathwork session, can do, is because it helps me get out of my own way. It helps me connect to the deeper subconscious levels of my own mind to access things that I can't when I have all the other chatter going on around me.
Yeah. As you were saying, just validating how important recognizing just the fact that we're breathing and how that's associated with the fact that we're alive. So going back to what you said in the very beginning, like the moment we come to this earth, we're breathing. And then the moment we leave, we're not breathing. When we have betrayal trauma, it feels like that, or disclosure, discovery, it feels like a bomb just went off in our life. And any imagery I have of that type of experience with movies or TV shows, right? You see the bomb go off and you see the character in the TV show falling to the ground. And there's almost like this inaudible kind of noise. You can hear people talking, but they can't really hear it. It's like that wah, 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 the buzzing, the ringing, the cloud, the smoke. And the first thing most of these actors do in these movies are depicting is they're like checking, do I have all my body parts? Like they're breathing, they're taking that first gasp of air. I feel like really symbolizes what we can feel like when we have a discovery, disclosure, when we experience this kind of trauma, how important that breath, to reconnect back to that breath first, right? Like, I am alive. This really horrible bomb just went off. And a lot of times we want to go to the to-do or the fixing, but it really is breathing.
Yeah.
And recognizing I am alive and I am here. Holy hell.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe, just breathe.
And when that happens, as you're describing that, I'm just envisioning like a total collapse, like a collapse of reality, a collapse of our sense of safety, our collapse of even just sometimes our own self-trust, a collapse of everything. And so we get pushed into that fight, flight, freeze, collapse. That's where the trauma gets stored in our body. And that because in that moment, a lot of times you're not able to like run or rage or discharge the trauma when it's happening.
Shock has taken over.
Yeah. Our body holds on to that.
Yeah.
This is what I believe breathwork does. It helps to make a path for that stuff that we've stored to release and move through and move out.
Really, really powerful.
Share an analogy that when I was doing my training, they did a couple of like kind of analogies that help you understand the power of breathwork. And one of them, which I totally related to, because you probably know this about me, Amie, and anybody that knows me well knows that if you were to see my screen right now, I only have probably 30 tabs open right now, but sometimes I have like 50.
Oh, girl, I got you beat today. But yeah, that's why we're friends.
And I feel like I will go this way for like, I don't know, sometimes a week. And then I leave it open because I think I need to come back to it. But after a week, I don't remember why I was going to come back to it. And so at some point I just go, well, forget it. I'll just close them all and I'll start over again. I always have these like open tabs in my head and in my brain and in my life. Breathwork is like giving you an opportunity to close down the system, reboot, and start over again.
Clear the cache.
We're going to clear the cache, get rid of those cookies, and we're going to start over from a fresh start. It's not going to, like, one session isn't going to heal all of the stored trauma, but I'm telling you that the more that I've done almost every time, it's a different experience every time I've done breath work. But what has been consistent over all of my different experiences is that I feel a little bit lighter when I come out of there, like literally like a physical relief and a physical lightening that has happened. They also use the backpack analogy of where we've been wearing a backpack our whole entire lives. And every experience, we keep picking up stones and putting the stones back in the backpack. And then we keep carrying them. And we have this weight and we have this pressure. And so in the first half of the breath work that I facilitate, we do that. We unpack the backpack. And then in the second half, and this is why I was drawn to the somatic breath work, is because then we help facilitate you grounding back into your body. And then you get to decide what you're putting back into the backpack and what you're carrying with you forward. And so it brings it full circle. It's like, I'm going to unpack this and then I'm going to choose what I'm putting back in.
No, I love both of these analogies. And that's exactly what I was going to offer and mention is what I'm hearing you say and what that can facilitate, because going along with the open tabs, because that's literally my window right now, there's like 100. All of them feel very important. All of them feel very necessary and needful, which is why they're open right now. But when you clear that out, it does give you that opportunity to choose differently. And when you clear that energy out, and something closes, there is a shift. When I go back to, oh, what was that one thing I was going to do? And if I can't even remember, I let it, it's like, then it wasn't important. I can let it go. And sometimes when we're healing from betrayal and divorce, and you're learning to untangle the rope and let go, everything feels very important to hold on to for a time. Sometimes we need this type of work to give that kind of clean wipe, clear the cache. And it allows you to go, maybe I don't need to pick that rope up. Maybe I can let it go. So I really love those metaphors there.
It also makes me think, and this is something that's a little bit opposing to, we always talk about regulating our nervous system and all of that stuff. And this is purposefully activating our nervous system. And so, at least in the first half, and then we ground in the second half. But this is a way to use activation to get into that stuck survival responses that are stored there and letting it complete, letting it come full circle to return to safety. And when you can do this in a safe and contained way, you can contain that stress response, or you can be supported in that stress response. Then it allows space for something different to happen, to replace that. And so
Sure.
The activation is actually part of the healing process. We're going to activate that stuff to be able to loosen it and let it move through, let it move out.
And is that where you would say most people start to either freak out or think they're doing it wrong, or something is wrong or happening because of that activation? Yeah. Yeah.
In the breath work that I facilitate, some breath work that I've done, they don't do extended breath holds, but in mine, we do like an extended breath hold, and several throughout. And I think when we do the extended breath holds, there's something powerful that happens there. I think that's where we like go from super activated to totally calm. And then that's where you can tap into that subconscious brain that we can't always access.
So what do you usually see happening, like in the clients when they go to that place? Like, is that where you usually see like a lot of emotion, or like, what do you think is shifting there?
We can see a lot of emotion. I have had people, I don't want to scare anybody, but I've had people that have allowed themselves maybe for the first time to totally sob and let it move through. Or people that have had a rage experience where they've screamed, where they have maybe been in a safe enough environment to actually have that rage response, which, man, I have learned to not be afraid of that. I actually probably have
pretty powerful.
I have too much of a love for like letting myself, because I'm always been, I have to be so tight and proper, and I can't let myself be angry. But dang it, there's a lot of things to be really angry about.
Yeah.
Trail.
Yeah.
And being in a safe place where you can allow that to move through.
It's beautiful. When we did this last time, I did this with you at a retreat in Utah, and there was a lot of those experiences happening, like tears are falling from my face because it's so sacred and so beautiful and so empowering. And it's a remarkable thing to not only be a part of, but as a facilitator to witness. It's beautiful. Because to your point, yeah, a lot of women are coming from that staying silent and small and quiet and oppressed, and seeing them release that and shed out of that is quite remarkable.
I think that the first time I did it and I was nervous, I was like just barely learning to allow myself to do that, to feel and to have that like emotional release. And the facilitator came up and she put her hands on the side of my face and she just whispered something in my ear, like, I'm right here with you. It's okay. I got you. And that just like opened it. It was like cracking open the shell that had been keeping that stuff stored inside of me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have so much love and appreciation for her for providing that safe space for me to finally access that stuff that I had been holding on to as an armor of protection.
Yes.
Doing a great job, right?
Yes.
Man, it isn't really serving me well long term. And the physical impact of holding on to that stuff it's not helping me.
I like that you shared that, because this is why we can't do this work alone, like you said in the beginning, and why it is so important to have people support you Because what you described right there is someone that provided safety where we are afraid to be alone. And with nervous system regulation and healthy co-regulation, it's hard to really be vulnerable and seen and when we don't feel safety, and we're made for connection. So what you described there is a beautiful example of someone who was providing safety, but just that simple touch, knowing you're being seen and she's there, co-regulated and allowed you to step into that space beautifully. And that's what I've seen in my life with even my marriage, and having someone that is steady and safe and stable to co-regulate. I've been able to go deeper and deeper into myself, my self-awareness, into the darker places that never really felt safe because of that chaotic nervous system relational regulation. Does that make sense? When you said that, I was like, that's beautiful. And this is why we can't, not supposed to do it alone.
Right. Right. Allowing your pain to be, there's something so powerful about allowing your pain to be witnessed, which is why I love the in-person.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
But when you can allow that stuff to clear too, when you can be in a safe environment to allow that to clear, our clarity comes online, our intuition becomes louder, our boundaries become more clear, our body feels safer. We can into that embodied healing. We can feel the healing rather than the survival or the, like, I don't know, needing it to be a certain way, because so many of us, and I was guilty too, like, just give me the 10 steps. I will do them for a T and help me get out of this pain. And really, there is no 10 steps. It's more about being present and being embodied and allowing space for whatever there is to be there. And a lot of times, for most people, I would say, while the betrayal trauma might be the thing that's on fire right now, there's deeper layers of either childhood trauma or lack of emotional safety or just other things that are connected to everything that's happening today. And this allows us to access that as well, because some of those things I hadn't thought about for a long time that I'm able to access in breathwork. And it starts to put the pieces together of the puzzle, and I start to be able to like connect this to that. And when I can do that, it just opens up another whole nother layer of healing.
Yeah. I love that. So through Choose Recovery, a lot of the retreats, intensives that you do, women experiencing betrayal, a lot of them are in a place of still in the relationship. My listeners, most of them on the way out and out. So I'm just going to invite you all to Costa Rica, because we're going to be doing breath work there and a lot of body work there. It is in July, this year in July. Hali, myself, and Alana, it's going to be incredibly amazing. I cannot wait to do this with you. Just that environment, the energy of Costa Rica, but everything we're talking about with not only breath work, but some of these other modalities that are going to consistently support what we're talking about today, helping you reconnect back to your body and these parts of you that do get lost, that do get buried deep when we go through so much trauma. And a lot of you are still trying to get your footing outside of this divorce and figure out what that next step is. And maybe you have 1,000 tabs open right now with all of the things. And if you're feeling like you just need that reset, then I am going to invite you to come and invest in yourself in this experience, because it will be unlike no other.
Yeah. And there is something really empowering about making a choice to do something like a retreat in Costa Rica for your like, I'm actually pretty proud of myself for saying, yep, we're going to Costa Rica and we're going to
I know, right?
And there's just something that's really empowering about making a choice that is just for you. And okay, yes, it's just for you. But when we do our own healing work, we're able to then show up in our life in a different way for our loved ones, for those in our circle of influence. And let's take some of those rocks out of the backpack and figure out what you want to bring home from Costa Rica. I can't wait to witness the transformation. I am just so excited about that.
I'm so excited too. Now, for those that are in a place, in a space where like, okay, I can't do that this July, but I really think I want to lean into breath work and find out what that is like. Now, you physically are in Arizona. So those of you that are in Arizona, lucky ducks, I'll put Hali's information in the show notes and you can look her up. She's incredible. And also Reiki master, incredible somatic energy. And it really is so beautiful to watch you work. Hali was the one that attuned me to Reiki level 2. And it was such a beautiful experience to have you do that for me. So those that are in Arizona or want to travel to go see her in person to do something like this, I'll put her info in the show notes. But Hali, what anybody else in their area that wants to, I guess, go find something like this, what would you recommend they look for? Because you're talking about different types and styles. What words, keywords, phrases are they looking for to find like the better one?
Yeah, there's so many different types out there that I haven't probably even experienced. So rather than the one that I do is somatic and it's SOMATIQ. I love
Oh, okay.
little like whatever you call that play on words, that the soma is related to the body and the IQ is like really tuning into that wisdom of your body.
Oh, I love that. Okay, cool.
So that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to that type of work. The other thing I would say, and I want to go back to something you said, I don't actually call myself an energy healer. I call myself, I am attuned as a Reiki master teacher, but I believe that everybody's body knows exactly what they need, and I just help facilitate that. And so I would watch for that language. I actually resist people that call it healer because they're actually not healing. Your body is doing the healing. And so that would be one language that I would say if somebody's claiming to be able to heal you on something, I would resist that. You already have everything you need within you to heal, and you just need somebody sometimes to help hold that space and facilitate it. Again, I go back to things full of light. I've had a couple of bad experiences with breath work where I wished I would have done a little more research. One time I got there and I have no judgment about anybody that wants to do this, but they were doing hape with it. I had no idea what hape was. I was like, this looks like a good place. And by the end, me and my friend, who unfortunately was our first experience, we were the only sober ones in the place. Everybody else was really high. And that's like not me. I have no problem if people want to do plant medicine, but it wasn't what I was wanting to go for. And so I would just really vet out, is there something else with it? Are they airing a substance with it? And if so, and that's what you want to do, okay. But really just check with your body. What's your body telling you? Does this feel like something that my body is being called to? And if not, then find a different one. Research the facilitator and what do they stand for and how does your body react to them when you do it? Because I've had shamanic breath work, which was powerful. I've had different types of breath work that were powerful, that weren't the somatic that I do. But more about the facilitator and if your body says yes or your body says no.
Yeah. No, I love that advice. And then even slower or on a slower scale, if right now they're not in a place to even go do that, what would you say they can do just today?
I would say make some intentional time every day to just start connecting with your breath, like paying attention to your breath. And you can do this by like focusing on the air coming in and out of your nostrils, putting your hand on your chest and noticing your chest rise and fall, or one hand on your belly, one hand on your breath. Play with different types of breath, in through the mouth, out through the mouth. Grounding, in our grounding half at the end, we always do in through the nose, out through the mouth. Can do some breath holds and just get familiar with tapping into your breath and starting to connect with it. I would also just say, even with your audience that is divorced, our somatic healing intensive at Choose is not relational based at all. It's more like individual based healing. And so if Costa Rica's it's not an option, but an intensive at Choose, the somatic healing intensive would be another option where we will do a lot of this same type of work, but in the office at Choose, which is not the same as in the jungle in Costa Rica.
No, it's not. But we make do, and we still have a great time.
We do. We still have a great time when we make it it's very safe, but there will be monkeys and other things in the background. So
Lush trees, beaches. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think just starting today, very simply, recognizing your breath. And for me, it was recognizing how often I hold my breath. I started there with compassion. And it's just, the amount of times that I've even teared up with just a little sadness and grief, and allowing that to even be there for myself of, wow, there's so much bracing, there's so much holding going on, and being more aware of just that, where I'm coming from, where I came from, to make the shift to more intentional breathing can be a place to start too. But just trying to meet everyone where they're at. So I love that you gave a bunch of different places to start. So thank you so much. Any last words to share?
No, other than I just love this conversation. I hope that your audience will reach out and at least experience breathwork and see if it's for them, and add it as one more tool when you're ready for it to really, I think of it's like one of the quickest way to move some stored stuff through in a short amount of time. And you don't even have to talk about it. It's all happening subconsciously. You don't even have to talk about it. So be open-minded about it. If you're in Arizona, reach out to me. I'd love to help you.
Love it. Thanks, Hali.
Amie.
Thank you for being here with me inside Rooted and Rising Healing. Remember, healing isn't a destination. It's a returning to your truth, to your voice, to the woman you were always meant to be. You have the power to rise at your own pace, in your own way. And when it feels hard, just come back to your breath and remind yourself, still I rise. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love if you shared it with another sister on the journey. And until next time, stay rooted, stay rising. You've got this.